So, we should be, with our excellent connection, going live right now. Look at the multitudes as they're watching us stream. So you notice that it's a good 10 seconds behind. So what you see here is 10 seconds ago. This is fourth dimensional shit. Right. Okay, so I just posted to the Instagram. That's right, the Instagram. While I do the social media crap, Holker, why don't you tell people who the fuck you are?
My name is Daniel Holker. I've known Will for quite some time.
Truth.
Yeah, I've been around while he and Ben have worked on DreadLore and have done some interesting things with it. I haven't had too much of a chance to actually play DreadLore itself.
That's because you're so bitch.
Yeah. But I am interested in seeing how it turns out and trying to help out any way I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell them a little bit about what we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about...
Meanwhile, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff.
We're going to talk about topics from, say, Deep Time that someone who's not familiar with Deep Time might find interesting in terms of what they can use for inspiration to actually create a world in which they are playing a role-playing game or for whatever purpose that they want to create a world for.
Mm.
Deep Time is Deep Time
It sounds cool, first of all.
Yeah, it encompasses multiple fields. It encompasses evolution, astronomy, geology, and just anything that doesn't have to actually any of the fields that deal with the world that we live in before recorded history.
Some examples?
Some examples would be the geologic record.
I just typed FEEP time.
FEEP, deep,
yeah.
Autocorrect.
Yeah, no one some people know what deep time is. I had no idea. When you said it, I was like, yeah, deep time. It's a little bit weird sounding. Like, why would you call it deep time and not like deep history or something?
It's called deep time because most of recorded history, for most of recorded history, you're dealing with, say, the last 5,000 years. That's the amount of time in which we have written records for some civilizations. Some of them don't go back quite that far, but you're looking at around 5,000 years.
Mm.
With deep time, you're looking at millions of years. Or billions of years.
Billions.
And that number sounds like a lot, but when you think about what people will routinely look at in terms of fossil sites, they'll look at a fossil site and find something, they'll date it back to, say, 100,000 years ago, and then they'll look somewhere else and date something back to 150,000 years ago.
Mm.
And the span between those two dates is 10 times as much as recorded history, all recorded history. And sometimes those dates can come from the same fossil site. A lot of caves that have early human remains will very commonly have sites, have finds that are tens of thousands of years apart from each other. Easily. And the amount of time that separates those two finds easily outweighs, sometimes by an order of magnitude, all of recorded history in terms of the time separating them. And so deep time commonly deals with a very, very, very long period of time.
So let's break it down a little bit, because I mean I know you just did, but as deep time is clearly covering a vast period of time, right? So like from the beginning, I'm assuming of Earth, or are we talking before?
I mean, from
does it concern only world history, or does it concern 1.3 trillion? Is it 1.3 trillion?
No, it's about 13 billion years, give or take.
13 billion years. And that's the entire universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does deep time start then?
Yeah.
and then go up to 5,000 BCE?
I guess, yeah. From that seems to be the implication of what I've read. You have all these fields, say astronomy and cosmology, which that cover the beginning and evolution of the universe, and then you have fields like planetary science, geology, and evolutionary biology, which covers the period of, say, the Earth, which goes back over 4 billion years ago.
Is that about how old the Earth is?
It's about 4.5 billion years.
I thought it was 6,000.
It depends on who you ask, I guess.
I guess it does.
Yeah. If you ask me, it's about 4.5 billion.
We have a disclaimer.
What disclaimer?
Excuse me. A cold front's coming in. Could you give me that piece of paper on the floor? The floor paper? Give it to me.
Why?
Because I'm going to look at it. I want it here so I can see it.
Okay.
You sucker. Okay. Put it there. You can even tape it. I'm not going to show it to anybody.
Fine.
Also, it doesn't mean anything. It has nothing on there. So, this discussion, for those of you that, are jumping in or whatever, we're talking a bunch of science. Science. What else?
Science. Mainly fields of science.
These would be hard sciences.
Yeah.
Hard sciences. And as pertaining to something that Holker has let me know about called deep time, which I'm going to make you describe it again, probably in like 3 different ways. What we are not going to do is get into, real world situations and discussions on this one. This Something Buncombe discussions is actually more akin to game talk, because we're talking about deep time as regarding or concerning world building.
Yeah. When I see descriptions of worlds in say role playing games, oftentimes what I think about is what you could put in to those worlds and to those storylines that have some analogs from what we actually see on our own world that would, in my opinion, make the story richer or better or just more interesting.
So there's so much to unpack here. Let's make some notes with this Sharpie. Obviously, we've got to describe in pretty good detail deep time. That's just got to happen. I know you've gone over like a very general sense, but from a person like me who has to see things, that I only caught like 20% of it. It's the second time that I've heard it. So we're going to talk about deep time again with a bunch of examples and of what it actually is, and then keep on going. World building. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means. So there's people that have never played a role-playing game, a tabletop game, might have some problems understanding how much of the world do you really have to. I'm double fisting. How much of the world do you really have to build? So we'll get into world building, and then actually give some examples of that with different systems. Of course, most of what I talk about is to DreadLore, which is the system that Ben and I created, and you have helped out quite a bit on. Let me see, what else can we get in? We could actually give like some real game examples, and then some discussions about maybe like, actually you had the entire inspiration for getting Holker on here was we were having some conversation, and you just, what was it specifically? Was it just had to do with deep time?
I guess, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So this has been like a pretty big thought process for you, and maybe the origination of that. I guarantee the real game examples, one of them will include the LARP, and DreadLore and lots of different things. Okay,